Aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our 2023 Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program Kickoff. I'm Jamie Lum, and I'm with the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. I'm also joined by my colleague, Mark Ritchie, this morning. We are both with the Business Development and Support Division within DBED, and we are the ones that handle the HiSTEP program for the state of Hawaii. So let me just start a little bit by telling you about our division. Our division, again, is the Business Development and Support Division. What we do is we promote industry development and diversification in Hawaii. Our programs, the goals of our programs are to support existing and emerging industries, to increase exports of Hawaii products and services, and expand Hawaii's participation in global trade and commerce, to assist in growing community-based businesses and organizations, and finally to build resiliency to fluctuations in defense industry spending. Now I'd like to ask Mark, introduce Mark Ritchie. Cover our next slide.
Great, thank you, Jamie, and aloha, everyone. So Jamie's going to be talking about the HiSTEP program primarily in this webinar, but we're also going to be introducing you to other wraparound programs and services that can support HiSTEP companies. For instance, if you're going to start an export program, you probably need to increase production. How do you do that? Do you need financing? Do you need new equipment? How do you scale up? And all sorts of business planning things. So throughout this presentation, we'll be introducing you to some of those programs and also some of our resource partners that administer those programs. So thank you, and back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Mark. So yes, so today's focus is on HiSTEP, but as Mark mentioned, we work with many partner organizations that offer services that really help companies get to the point, if they're not already exporting, build you up to being able to get into exporting. So the HiSTEP program is supported primarily through a grant that we received from the Small Business Administration. And so we were very grateful to them. And so this morning we have Val Kubota joining us from the SBA. And so I'd like to ask Val to give us a little bit of information about SBA.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Jamie and Mark, for administering the program and working together with us to, again, like Jamie said, support small business. The Small Business Administration, we help businesses start, grow, expand, and recover. A lot of you heard of SBA during COVID with PPP, but we do much more outside of the PPP and the COVID relief funds. Like Jamie mentioned, we do counseling, we help you get access to capital, and also get you trained and give you resources to get into the government contracting program. So you're here to hear a lot about the exporting through the STEP program. So we're glad everyone's here to learn more so you can expand your business and help the state economy. So thank you so much, Jamie and Mark.
Thank you, Val. So the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program, or HiSTEP, is an export development program. It's open to companies that are new to exporting or who are already exporting and maybe looking to grow. And with all of our partners, we've developed this system, these 3 integrated components that are part of HiSTEP, which consists of our export readiness program, which is a series of training webinars and business advising services through the help of all of our partner organizations. Our Hawaii pavilions, which DBED and our Department of Agriculture organize companies going into trade shows under the banner of Hawaii. And then the final component is our company assistance, where companies can apply for direct financial assistance to help support some of the activities that they have as part of their export plan. So I'll go into each of these components in just a bit, but let's talk about eligibility first for HiSTEP. To be eligible for HiSTEP, you have to meet the SBA's definition of an eligible small business concern. So you have to meet the standards of being a small business, which most companies in Hawaii are able to meet. You have to be in business for at least a year. You have to have sufficient resources for exporting. And this is all done through a self-certification form that's provided by the SBA. And you have to have a product or service that is at least 51% US content or US value. So that meets the SBA standards. You also cannot be barred from receiving any federal funds. And then on the state side, we want companies to be registered with DCCA, with the business registration, and to also be registered with the Department of Taxation and have a general excise tax license. So those are the basic requirements to be eligible for HiSTEP. So export readiness. We work closely with the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. We engage them to help us put together a series of webinars, and thank you, Rob. He will talk about HPEC in just a little while, and he's also the one who's hosting this morning's webinar, so we thank you, Rob, for getting this all set up. So we decide on topics that we want to cover, and we're in the process right now of trying to finalize what topics we will offer for 2023. But the topics of these webinars are either export specific, such as export financing, logistics, how to do an international trade show, doing e-commerce and digital marketing for Japan. We've done that. And then we have some market specific sessions, such as exporting to Japan, exporting to Australia and New Zealand, one we just did in September. Using the free trade agreement to export to Mexico and Canada. So together we decide on the topics, and then Rob organizes the speakers for these webinars, and these are recorded and they're put on our website as well as HPEC's YouTube channel. Then we also have one-on-one business advising. So when a company submits a HiSTEP registration form, what we do is we match them up with one of the resource partner organizations, from all of them, which you'll hear from today, and they will someone will contact you, find out a little bit more about your company, what your export goals are, what your export experience is, and then look at some of what HiSTEP has to offer. Or maybe you might need some of the services that they have to offer, maybe in areas that perhaps you need to strengthen your company in order to be able to export. So it'll be different depending on your particular company and your partner, but this is part of what we offer through our export readiness. And in the end, what we're really trying to do is trying to make sure that all of the companies have the tools and have the information to either put together an export development plan if your company does not already have one, or to perhaps look at what you might already have and adjust it as you need to. So as far as the training sessions, like I mentioned, we are looking at the topics right now, and normally we will start them in November or December, and they'll run through the September following year. So it will have one a month. That's normally how we offer them. And so now I would like to introduce Rob Hack, and he'll talk about HPEC, as well as he'll also cover the U.S. Department of Commerce.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Rob Hack. As Jamie mentioned, I'm from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. We often go by the shortened acronym HPEC, and I'm on the board of directors. It's a nonprofit organization, 501c3 registered in Hawaii. We're based in Honolulu at Pier 2 at the Foreign Trade Zone. And you'll be hearing more about the Foreign Trade Zone later if you don't already know about them. We're one of 61 district export councils around the country. Those are often called DECs. And again, as HPEC, you see we follow that nomenclature. And we are quasi offshoots of the US Department of Commerce. And all of our board members are vetted and appointed by the US Secretary of Commerce to serve 2-year terms that can be extended. And we, in order to be on the board, we have to have significant export experience in our careers. And so our board members have a vast array of experience with various aspects of exporting that could be legal, it could be logistics, it could be intellectual property, it could be sales and marketing, what have you. I think you find in Hawaii that most of our board members have a great deal of experience with Asia, particularly Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China, and the like. And that's the same with me. So one of my responsibilities as a board member is to manage the grant that we receive from DBET and SBA to put on these seminars. So I'd like to extend our great thanks to SBA and DBET for giving us the funding that allows us to put on the seminars and webinars and perform the one-on-one company mentoring sessions that we do. I'd also like to point you to our website at hawaiiexportsupport.com, and perhaps more importantly, our YouTube archive that Jamie alluded to earlier, where these sessions have been recorded for the past several years, and they're all uploaded to the YouTube channel after a little bit of editing. And here's the link to that. We're working now with Jamie and Mark and Lyle at DBET to put up a slate of events for the coming 2023 cycle and look at invest.hawaii.gov under the exporting tab. And you can also look on the HPEC website once that slate of events is finalized, and we have some at least tentative dates put up there. But one thing that'll be different this year compared to the past few years is we've been forced during the pandemic to have only webinars via Zoom, but we're going to go back to hybrid events where we can be in person at the Foreign Trade Zone on Pier 2, and then also send out the events live by Zoom as we have been in the past, and also record them for uploading to our YouTube channel. So we're excited to be getting back to some semblance of normality with our upcoming events. So Jamie, if you could forward to the next slide, please. As I mentioned, we're a district export council as an offshoot of the US Department of Commerce, and by statute, the executive secretary of our council is a US commercial service employee named John Holman. And I think that this is an important contact name for you to have, email and telephone number. He's also at Pier 2 in Honolulu, but he is really your window into hundreds of other commercial service officers that are based in US embassies and consulates around the world. So you have instant friends in these foreign countries to help you along your exporting adventure. And John Holman is the person who will put you in contact with the correct people. So please get his information. And Jamie will be sending around this presentation, so you don't have to write all of this down furiously right now, but you'll be able to get these slides later. Next slide, please. So John likes to talk about how his office works with potential exporters, and he looks at this simple formula of 1 + 2 + 3, and motivation is probably the most important. If your company are motivated to export and get into that motive business, then that's certainly overcoming the biggest hurdle. Path of least resistance here generally refers to foreign trade agreements that the US has in place where there's free trade flowing between the countries. And that could be the USMCA agreement, which was formerly called NAFTA. It could be a free trade agreement with Korea, which is called CORUS, or with Australia or New Zealand or others. Those are really the path of least resistance for you to start your exporting adventure in. And then, of course, great partners. Many of these great partners are on the call today. These are all resources for you to work with and help you with your exporting, but it could also be other stakeholders that you'll find along the way in terms of your distributors or the US commercial service officers we talked about in the foreign countries. And it's important to get these great partners in place and nurture those relationships with them and use them to help you with your exporting. Next slide, please. So very similar, because it's a US government entity, the US Commercial Service falls under the same umbrella that SBA would in terms of the types of companies that they can work with and help. So of course it has to be a US registered business. 51% of the content has to be US made by value or by volume. And John has also highlighted this tinyurl.com export videos where there's very short little digestible videos there of a few minutes each regarding some various export topics that when I've looked through them, I've always learned something. And I think that it's worth your while to explore some of those videos as well. So with that, I'll close and go back to Jamie, and thank you again for having us, Jamie.
Thank you, Rob. And Rob also mentioned, I forgot to, thank you for mentioning, Rob, which I forgot to say at the beginning, that we will send out copies of the slides. So yes, you'll have all of the information, the websites, contact information, et cetera, from all of our presenters today. So the next component I want to talk about is our Hawaii pavilions. So between DBED and also the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, there are trade shows that we've determined that we think are valuable and beneficial for our companies to participate in these large international events. And so what we do is we use the HiSTEP funding to subsidize the majority of the cost of the booth space and building out the booth space and so forth. And then we charge a small participation fee for companies, which typically runs maybe about a quarter of what a company would spend if they were to go into a trade show on their own. So not only are we try to make it affordable, but we also find that it's valuable to have a group of Hawaii companies exhibiting together under the Hawaii banner. It's a strong brand. Hawaii has a strong brand, as well as companies can work. Even though in some cases they may be competitors, they all learn from each other too through this trade show experience. So, I'll share our list of the shows that we have on our 2023 calendar. And so what we do is we normally put out an announcement when we are ready to start recruiting, and then we'll ask companies to contact us that are interested in participating. And right now, what I'd like to do, I'm going to go to the. This is a list of shows that both DBED and Department of Agriculture are doing. We have Sharon Hurd joining us today from the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, and I'd like to ask Sharon and give her an opportunity to talk about her program and some of the shows that they're doing. Sharon.
Thank you, Jamie. And I'm giving the same kudos and thank you to you and Mark and Rob and Valerie from SBA for helping us become a subaward. The state budget that we have would not allow us to participate in so many wonderful international trade shows without your help. So thank you. If you would, when Jamie sends out these slides to you, if you would linger over the trade show and click on it, it opens up information for the trade show. So I won't be really spending much time on it. It's right here. Gulf Food is a great show. FoodX, IFEA. What I want to take some time to do, Jamie, is to say that the NASDA, the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture annual meeting was about a month ago, very recent. But in that meeting, they had a large part of the meeting was for the USTR, US Trade Regulation folks. And I wanted to let you all know that have tuned in today that their main focus, they're saying the greatest potential is going to be Indochina. They call it Indo-Pacific. So if you would just Google Indo-Pacific, you'll come up with a document that's called the, oh gosh, what is it called? The Indo-Pacific Strategy of the United States, put out February 2022. Lots of information in there. And guess what? We are so well positioned here in Hawaii to take advantage of this Indo-Pacific strategy. Go to our Department of Agriculture website. We're populating it now with application forms for these countries. USDA also has ATMs, Agricultural Trade Missions. Look that up, please. And right now, Yukashi, who normally does this presentation for you all, is at the Orlando, Florida Global Produce and Food and Floral Show. It used to be called the Fresh Summit. Really a good show that will be up next year in Anaheim. How's that? Anaheim's a real good show for us. So thank you. Look at our contacts, go to our website under market development, and hope to see you at one of our trade shows. Trade is, I think it was one of John Holman's presentation that said you get 34% more revenue through an export sale than you do from a domestic or local sale. So with that, Jamie, thank you so much for the time to herald what we have going on with you. And keep in mind, the buzzword for this session is Indo-Pacific. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Again, you'll have all of this information sent out to you, this PowerPoint. So the final component that I want to talk about is our company assistance. This is, again, where companies can apply. It's done on a competitive basis because we only have so much funding available for it. But you can, companies can apply for funding, which is paid on a reimbursement basis if you're awarded. And it goes to support activities that are that help you in your export efforts. So we have two categories of funding. We have funding for new to export companies and funding for market expansion companies. We have different limits. So if you're a new to export company, you can apply for up to $5,000. This would be good for a company that maybe has never done a trade show abroad and wants to give it a try. And so, you know, these funds could be used to help pay for the trade show, help pay for your airfare, and some other, you know, costs associated with that. A market expansion company can apply for up to $15,000. Now, this would be for companies that, you know, a little bit more experienced exporters. One other requirement that we have for a market expansion company is that the company should have at least $200,000 in revenue in order to qualify to apply. And the reason for that is we know that exporting does take, as Rob pointed out, there, you know, motivation. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes money. So for a company to be successful, you really need to have resources. The funding that you get through HiSTEP is not going to get you all the way there to your goal. So you really need to have, you know, sufficient resources to be able to help support what you're trying to accomplish. So we normally issue our request for proposal, which is the vehicle for applying for this funding. It will be available early next month, early November, and then the deadline will be in early January. So well, I'll give you the website again at the end, but invest.hawaii.gov is our website. And if you go under the exporting tab, that has all of the HiSTEP information. But if you go there, that's where you can find the information on the company assistance program. I'll just go over some of the allowable expenses here. You know, during the pandemic, when trade shows were not being conducted in person and travel was limited, there was a lot of focus on e-commerce. So SBA has allowed a lot more allowable expenses under this under the area of e-commerce and websites. So you can use it to translate and localize your website. You can develop an e-commerce portal for international sales using the funding. You can do digital marketing to reach your foreign targets on social media and so forth. That's allowable. Besides some of the more traditional, what I will call traditional companies have used it for airfare and trade shows. And again, these do not have to be trade shows that are already on the calendar for Hawaii pavilions. These can be other trade shows that you feel are beneficial for your company. So trade show expenses. Other types of things, U.S. commercial service that Rob talked about, John Holman, they they have Gold Key service and other types of programs to help companies that want to do business in that particular country. Excuse me. And a lot of the programs are free, but some have fees. So HiSTEP funding can be used for that. If you have a product that needs to be certified, excuse me, before it can be sold in a certain country, you can use it for the testing that you need to get the certification. And then these last three, the last three bullet points there are new. So I've just added those on, and that's which is why I want to highlight them. That would be trade credit insurance premiums, foreign buyer credit reports, and consultant services. And that would be over and above the services that you can get through the U.S. commercial service. So we would have to take a look at that a little more closely. SBA requires, it's something that needs to be looked at before it's approved. So success metrics for HiSTEP, what are we hoping to accomplish? We want to see expanded volume of Hawaii goods and services, as well as the dollar amount of goods and services that are being exported out of the state. We would like to see a larger number of Hawaii companies selling their goods and services in the global marketplace. And then lastly, we want Hawaii goods and services to be penetrating more of the foreign markets out there. So those are that's what we're looking for. And as I mentioned, our website here is invest.hawaii.gov. If you go under the exporting tab and go to HiSTEP, you can get all of the information here that I've just presented. And I just want to point out two things. So we do have a HiSTEP registration form, and that is at no cost. If you're interested in HiSTEP, you would fill that out and give us some information about your company. And that's what gets the ball rolling for us to pair you up with one of our partners for the one-on-one business advising. It doesn't obligate you to participate in a trade show or anything. It just indicates to us that you are interested in exporting and in HiSTEP. The company assistance program that I talked about, that is a separate application. So just make sure that you know that it's a different process. It's a different application form. So I just want to point that out. Now I want to go back to this slide where we talked about general business needs. So in the area of business training programs and one-on-one business advising, I would like to introduce some of our other partner organizations. And I want to start with the SBDC on Oahu and introduce Cynthia to talk a little bit about her shop. Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone, and aloha. I'm Cynthia Yamasaki. I'm the Oahu Center Director, and I'm really pleased to introduce you also to Pascual Castaño, who's on this call. He is one of our senior business advisors, and he is certified as an export advisor as well. So we collectively have many years of experience as prior business owners, certified advisors, and we are really committed to work with Jamie, Mark, and Rob, everyone on this call, because collectively we are here to support you on the success of your growth and exporting, sharing the Aloha spirit in your products and services through the world. So what we will do with you is to help you, especially in looking at your readiness, if your current operations and productions are ready for this added, volume that you need to produce, and if you have the right financing and setup for that. So when you put in your request, and if you're assigned to us, and we work with you to look at your current financial situation, your business plan, your future expansion plans, and just kind of review it. We have advisors with like Dennis Wong with 41 years of banking experience. Pasquale has international experience as well. And we also have Raj, who is currently in Japan doing some research. And we are together, work as a team. We would look at your business plans. We would help give you advice on, we don't write it for you. You write it, but we give you advice and input, give you some tips on how to be best prepared for this export adventure, including looking at your export plan and your financial plan. That's very important to be ready through that way. So please feel free to visit our website. Our consulting or advisory services are free, and we are thankful for that we can do that for you, because we are one of the SBA resource partners funded partially by the SBA, as well as we are part of the network throughout Hawaii. And there are other sessions. So we have offices on all the major islands by county. And we are part of the America's Small Business Development Center, where there are over 1,000 SBDCs. Within that ASBDC, all this alphabet soup, that you have to remember, there is a special export forum as well that we participate in. And so if if you need information, market information, research, business plan, export plan, financial outlook, then we're happy to help you. And we have a network of support that if we don't know the answer, we reach out and find it for you. So thank you for this opportunity to share, and we look forward to working with you. Aloha.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce the Mink Center, and actually Val Kubota from SBA will talk a little bit about the Mink Center, which is the Women's Business Center here in Hawaii.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. So as Jamie mentioned, the Women's Business Center, the director actually, Colleen McAlooney, she's not able to join us today because she's participating in the Wahine Forum. So it is a conference going on all day today to work with women and businesses in the community. So she's out there doing some great outreach. So I'm happy to talk to you a little bit about the Patsy Timing Center for Business and Leadership. So like the Small Business Development Centers, SBA also funds the Patsy Timing Center for Business and Leadership. So they do similar services as the Small Business Development Center does, but they do specialize on working with women. So we serve men as well, but the specialty would be to focus on women and helping them get free business counseling, helping them with also free legal counseling through the Business Law Corps. All of this is done through appointments that you can do and make online. And like Jamie mentioned, she'll get you in contact with one of them to do so. But they do many programs throughout the year, and again, focus on women and helping women businesses. But overall, similar to the Small Business Development Center, help you with your business plan, financial projections, and just getting you ready for next steps. So we look forward, and Colleen would like to extend her aloha to everyone, and thanks to Jamie and Mark and working together through this great program. So we look forward to working together in 2023. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Val. Appreciate you covering that for Colleen. Next, I would like to introduce the Veterans Business Outreach Center. And I think, Dennis, are you?
Oh, Andra's going to.
Or is it Andra?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw Dennis on there earlier too. Okay, great. Good to see you, Andra. Thank you for joining us again. Oh, that's why, because I just saw Dennis's name. Okay,
Okay.
Andra's with us today.
Thank you. Okay, good morning. Excited to be here as one of the resource partners and here to support the HiSTEP program. My name is Andra, and I'm a business advisor at the VBOC, which is the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific. VBOC is a program under the University of Hawaii at Hilo, and we're funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration. VBOC of the Pacific services all of Hawaii, Guam, and American Samoa, and there are 22 VBOCs across the U.S. servicing all of the states. And again, just like the other resource partners, the Women Business Center and SBDC, we do assist, but specifically with military community. So our program actually provides entrepreneurial development services for active duty, transitioning service members, veterans, National Guards and Reserve members, and military spouses who are interested in starting or growing small business through our 2-day workshop called Boots to Business. And again, we also provide other business training, free one-on-one counseling, and resource partner referrals. And I'm proud to say that in our office, we actually have 2 US certified export counselors, both Dennis Kwok and Laurie Hiramatsu, that they can help you get export ready, assist with strategic planning for expanding your business. So please contact us. And thank you, Rob, Jamie, and Mark for letting us have this opportunity to share.
Thank you, Andra. The next area we want to cover is financing and small business loans. And so I'm going to call on Val again to talk about some of the SBA loan programs that they have available.
Hi again, everyone, and thanks, Jamie. So with the SBA loan programs, we work directly with SBA approved lenders. All of the local banks are preferred SBA lenders, and we make the guarantees of the loans that the banks administer. So here's a listing of the different loan programs. And again, going back to our resource partners, all of our resource partners will help you get ready to submit your application, to your bank through your business plan, your exporting plan, and your financials. So specifically with the exporting, the cap line or the short-term working capital would be a loan that can help you, build your inventory, get ready for exporting in different markets. And the export working capital program would also help you generate export sales. So with that program, it's actually a short-term loan that would be based on an actual invoice that you have. So this type of loan would be for when you're already have an invoice and you need some short-term financing to get yourself going. And then the Community Advantage program is mission-focused lenders. Right now, we don't have any Community Advantage lenders in Hawaii, but we are working with a couple of CDFIs or Community Development Financial Institutions that work directly with people in areas that need these mission-focused lenders. But again, all of these loan programs are available to you through your local banks. But first, we would highly encourage you to meet with one of our partners, our resource partners, whether it be the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific, Small Business Development Center, or the Women's Business Center, to help you prepare to put in an application. So again, we're all resources here to help you. They're free resources to help you and your business get to the next level. So we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Next, I'd like to ask Mark Ritchie to talk about our community-based economic development program and loan program.
Right. Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Val. Our community-based economic development program, we can do three things. We do some grants, and that's usually to nonprofits. We can offer technical assistance, but we also have a very robust loan program. And our CBID loan program is primarily focused on businesses involved in manufacturing, wholesaling, and value-added agricultural production. We look at this as kind of the prism of economic development. So one of the results of a loan should be sort of new jobs, services, or increase in business for local suppliers that are doing inputs into a product or service. Next slide, please. Excuse me. Our CBID loan program, usually our loans are from $50,000 to about $125,000. By statute, we can go up to a $250,000, but we usually don't go that high. So these are bigger than micro loans, but not that big of some of the other loans that maybe some other organizations are actually going to your bank could offer. Our interest rates, again, by statute, are 3 to 6% and over a 10-year term. And that's actually becoming very attractive as interest rates are going up for businesses now. We do a lot of co-lending agreements, and we do co-lending with partner organizations. Those include Feed the Hunger Fund, Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corp, the Waianae Economic Development Council, and also the State Department of Agriculture. Loans can be used for working capital, construction or improvement of facilities, purchase of equipment, and payment of production and marketing expenses. Most of our borrowers use the loan money for working capital and purchase of equipment. We expect to see like one turn down. We're not competing against the banks. So if some of those banks that work with Val on guaranteeing their loans, if for some reason in their underwriting you don't meet one of their requirements, then we would want to talk to you if you're kind of in our focus area. Next slide, please. There we go. And guess now we're going up to scaling up operations, because that's what you want to use some of these loans for. So next slide. Our attached agency, Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, also works with Innovate Hawaii, and that's they're part of the national network of organizations that help manufacturers in the United States. And in particular, we have one program that is actually state funded, and it's called the Manufacturing Assistance Program. Next slide, please. And that is if you, in scaling up, need new capital equipment that will be used in manufacturing, that you can get a 20% grant to up to $100,000 to pay for that. So as an example, let's say you're scaling up your operations, you buy $500,000 worth of manufacturing equipment, you could actually get an offset of $100,000 from the state. There's an application process. It is competitive, but next slide. If you're interested in this, or if you're thinking about buying any capital equipment, and it can be a minimum of, I think it's like $20,000 or something would be, I think, their minimums that they would look at. The deadline for this is December 23rd this year. So you got another month and a half, and they're available online if you go to this website, the HTDC website. And again, that's the Manufacturing Assistance Program. And it can actually pay up to 20% of the costs of new or used manufacturing equipment. This program is designed to help keep Hawaii's manufacturers competitive, up to date, and be able to compete in the world. And I think it's a great program, and it's some years the legislature hasn't funded it, but now the legislature this year has funded this, and so there's money available. So definitely take a look at the application, and remember that deadline a couple days before Christmas. Next slide. And here are some of the other services that Innovate Hawaii offers, and this dovetails really nicely with the HiSTEP program. They can help you with your production efficiency, scaling up. They do a lot on food safety and quality. There's whole seminars that they put on where they're helping companies come up to speed with the new regulations that the federal government has put forth on food safety and quality that companies have to meet. They're involved in workforce development and quality management systems. And lastly, they're have some very good cybersecurity programs now, trying to make sure that companies, as they scale up, that they're secure, they're not going to be hacked, and they're going to be able to compete on a digital level without any problems. So definitely take a look at their other services as well. And then next slide, and I'm going to turn this over to, oh, actually, I'll start the first one. Here are some last programs to sort of save you money on taxes and duties as you expand. Next slide. First one is our Enterprise Zone program, which is designed to reward companies for creating jobs in economically challenged areas of the state and reward them with tax incentives and some other benefits. And it's mostly for companies that are in manufacturing and wholesaling and agriculture production. Retail is not one of the business sectors that can join this program. Next slide, please. I won't go into a lot of detail here because I know we're running short on time, but basically the counties choose the enterprise zones. They last for 20 years. And then companies, as they enroll in the program, they enroll with DBED, and then it lasts 7 years. Or if you're a manufacturer or an ag, you can extend that 3 years for 10 years. And what are you going to save on? You're going to get a tax credit. You're going to get your unemployment insurance premiums back on your employees. You're going to get a GET waiver. And also, we have a contractor's waiver that if you use a Hawaii licensed contractor to upgrade your facilities, which is in an enterprise zone, that you do not have to pay that contractor GET. So you could do $1 million project and be saving like $50,000 on the GET with this program. Next slide. And here are where the zones are. You can see that in most of the kind of the industrial areas or populated areas are in enterprise zones, but there are GIS maps if you go to our website where you can zoom in exactly on a address and actually see if that's in an enterprise zone. And if you have any questions, let us know, but everything is online. The forms, enrollment is right there on our website. And now I would like to turn it over to Surumi from the Foreign Trade Zone, who's going to show you how you can save on duties if you're importing a lot of stuff for your products and paying duties. Over to you, Surumi.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, everybody. Great to see so many people attending this HiSTEP meeting. So I'm Surumi Hamasu. I'm the trade rep at the Foreign Trade Zone. We're the hub of international trade in Hawaii, located right across the street from Restaurant Row. You've already heard that a number of offices over here, like the U.S. Commercial Services. We also have a number of customs brokers that have offices here, shippers. We have a gigantic warehouse that I see some people on here attending already take advantage of. And we have offices. And if you conduct international business, you qualify to be able to be a tenant here. And we do have offices available now. They're lovely in the Homer Maxey Center, the building you see in the picture here. And the great thing about these offices is that you do pay market rate rent, but there's no comms. So that extra fee that you pay for common space is not added on. The state picks that up. And we have a lovely community of companies, importers, exporters, and other businesses that do international trade. So I think because you're all on Oahu, you should also know about our warehouse. It's a gigantic warehouse that that you can use even if your merchandise is already cleared. So even if it's not foreign, you can bring it into the zone and you pay by the cubic foot, not for an area. It's really well used. We have almost 300 customers. So if you haven't heard of the foreign trade zone warehouse. It's something you should know about it, especially now that supply chains are a bit ragged and you might need to carry more inventory. But as Mark mentioned, the reason for our existence are tariff and duty benefits. So the foreign trade zone is a federal program run by the state of Hawaii. There are 3 types of duty benefits that you could potentially benefit from. So the first is taking advantage of duty delays. So if you bring your merchandise, if you've imported merchandise and you've paid high duties on them, you can bring it into the foreign trade zone warehouse and you wouldn't have to pay the duties on the merchandise until the merchandise leaves the foreign trade zone. So if you're carrying a lot of inventory and you know that it's going to be even a year until you're bringing it out of the warehouse, you don't have to pay customs duties or GET until you bring the merchandise out of the zone. The second and third types of deferrals are for larger companies that have, well, not always larger, but basically if you are exporting, so say you are importing, bringing things into Hawaii and then exporting outside of the USA. If you're paying duties on those items, you don't have to do that anymore. You can claim them back, or you bring them in bonded, you export them, and you don't have to pay duties at all. So I know that some of these of you are thinking about exporting. That's what HiSTEP is all about. If you bring and you keep your merchandise in the foreign trade zone and then export it outside of the country, no duties would be due. And the third type of benefit is slightly more complicated. Say you bring in parts, or you're creating a kit, like a alcoholic beverages kit with glasses and bottles of rum, and then you export it, or you just sell it into the Hawaiian market. The tariffs are oftentimes higher on the elements that go into the kit than the kit itself. And so if you create the kit in the foreign trade zone, you can take advantage of the lowest tariff rate for the kit. So you would save on duties that would otherwise be payable when you bring in the parts, the glasses, or the bottles, or different types of packaging. The kit, which often has a lower tariff, would be the amount you would be that would be payable to customs. So if you're thinking about how to save on customs duties, then you should actually get in touch with us. So it's a lot of information. It's very detailed. It's highly regulated. This is not a free trade zone. The foreign trade zones in the USA are not the same as free trade zones in other countries. Foreign trade zones are highly regulated. They're meant to enable US companies to compete better with foreign companies. And in Hawaii, we have a great program. It's been in existence for over 50 years. We have almost 300 customers. And so if you're thinking about doing HiSTEP, you should probably get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Surumi. Thank you so much. And so that concludes our session. And again, thank you to all of our partner organizations who are here for being part of this.
Maybe I think we have 2 questions in the Q&A. Yep. And I think we have like 2 minutes. So how about real quickly, maybe I could answer them. I think the first question is, could you use the HiSTEP company assistance to help defray some of the costs of the Gulf Food Exhibition in Dubai? And the answer to that is yes. And the second question is, it said this was a good, excellent workshop, and will it be recorded so people could refer back to it? And the answer to that is yes. We will post this on our website, and I think Rob will have it on a website, and just give us a week or two to kind of get it organized and things, but it'll definitely be there.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any other questions that maybe people didn't type into the chat, but anyone want to ask a question? I think you can unmute yourself. Oh, okay. Hi, Hideki. I see. Hideki Yamani asked a question. We don't have anything specific for Australia and New Zealand. We haven't done any trade shows there, not in an organized manner with a Hawaii Pavilion. However, companies that are interested in going into that market can certainly take advantage of, say, our company assistance with an export plan that shows just exactly how they want to get into the Australia, New Zealand market, and outlining what kind of activities they would get involved with to support that, and then put in an application for it. So,
great. I think we're at time.
Okay. Well, thank you again, everyone. Again, we're going to send out a copy of this PowerPoint. For HiSTEP, please go to the invest.hawaii.gov website for more information and to fill out the forms that we have if you're interested. Here's our contact information for myself and Mark and our other colleague, Lyle, if you have any questions. So again, thank you all for the participants, for all of our speakers, our partners. Thank you all for being here.
Great.
Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you.
Mahalo.